It's been a pretty busy week for Xbox news, with a ton of new game announcements, some major updates on Xbox Game Pass, and even a big change to one of the biggest IPs on Xbox to date. Welcome to another episode of What's New on Xbox. My name is Fletcher, this is Xbox Nation, and today we're going to be covering the 21 brand new Xbox and Game Pass games that were just announced over this past week. Make sure to subscribe to keep updated with all things Xbox, as we do post content every single day. And with that out the way, let's dive right in. First up, let's talk about Pathologic 3. Now, I've got to be honest, this series is not for the faint of heart. It's infamous for being one of the most challenging RPGs out there, and I'm not talking about the kind of difficulty that just tests your reflexes. Pathologic is a psychological test. The game actually wants you to feel frustrated, lost, and completely overwhelmed, but honestly, that's the genius of it. You're dropped into a mysterious town that's on the brink of a collapse from a deadly plague, and you've got 12 days to solve the mystery. The game doesn't hold your hand in any way, so there's no easy answers, and the survival feels like a constant struggle. But if you're the kind of gamer who loves to dig deep, appreciate intentional design choices, and explore tough philosophical narratives, Pathological 3 is going to be worth that entire wait. The first two games are honestly just cult classics at this point, and whilst we don't have a fixed release date as of yet, this one is confirmed for the Xbox Series X and S. Now's the perfect time to get into this series and catch up before the next chapter drops in the coming years. Switching gears, let's talk about Great God Grove. If you're into adventure puzzle games with a heavy dose of psychedelic visuals, this one's for you. Set to release on November 15th this year, it's developed by Limbo Lane, the same team behind Slime for Me, so you know they've got a unique offbeat style. In Great God Grove, you play as a male character in a world where gods and humans coexist, except one day the god of communication goes completely missing. It's up to you to unravel what happened here, navigating this strange and trippy world filled with puzzles and unexpected challenges. It sort of gives me that Psychonauts vibes, and the visuals are just absolutely stunning. It's a mix of surreal dreamscapes with puzzles that really make you think. Honestly, I just love how this game leans into its quirky, almost whimsical atmosphere, but don't be fooled, there seems to be a ton of depth here. It's a charming blend of action, adventure, and puzzle solving with a story that will stick with you. Next up, we have Nine Souls, a game that's been turning heads ever since it was first announced. If you're a fan of games like Hollow Knight or Sekiro, you're gonna love this one. It's an action platformer that's actually set in a futuristic world where cyberpunk meets traditional Asian mythology. It really does sound like an odd mix, but trust me, it seems to work. The hand-drawn 2D visuals are absolutely jaw-dropping, every single frame feels like it's been painstakingly crafted, and the combat is fast-paced and fluid. It's got a real big emphasis on dodging, countering, and stringing together powerful combos like you come to expect with games like Hollow Knight. There really is a deep, rich lore here about revenge, justice, and the consequences of your power. It is coming to Xbox Game Pass very soon on its release for Xbox, so if you enjoy rich stories with some intense skill-based gameplay, then Nine Souls will be right up your alley. Now, let's talk about Kong Survivor Instinct. This one is for the fans of Godzilla vs. Kong movies who want to experience the chaos firsthand. It's actually developed by 7 Levels, and this game is more of an action-adventure game with a Metroidvania twist, set just after the events of the entire film. You play as a father searching for his missing daughter in a devastated city. But here's the catch, you're exploring the ruins, Kong and other massive titans are ducking it out in the background. The game does some really cool things with these battles. You can manipulate the environment to turn the tide of these giants to fight in your advantage. The stakes seem incredibly high, and the world just feels incredibly immersive. It is coming to both the Xbox Series X and S consoles on the 22nd of October, and honestly, it looks like a wild ride. If you've ever wondered what it'd be like to survive in a world where titans are tearing everything apart, then Kong Survivor Instinct is the game for you. Alright sports fans, this next one's for you, and to be honest, it's some pretty big news. Football Manager 25 is about to drop this November, and it's coming day one onto Xbox Game Pass. Now, if you've played any of the previous Football Manager games, you already know what you're getting into. It's one of the most detailed and realistic football management sims out there to date. You'll manage everything from tactics on the pitch, to scouting, transfers, and even keeping your players happy and motivated. Honestly, what I really love about this series is just how deep it goes. You can spend countless hours tinkering with every little detail, whether it's just designing custom training schedules or negotiating those high-stakes player transfers. If you've never played it before, Football Manager 25 is really shaping up to be the best one yet, with even more features and improvements. Whether you're a seasoned manager or just new to the series, this one's gonna consume your life. Let's change things up with some space combat. Rogue Flight is an arcade-style space shooter inspired by the anime of 80s and 90s. Let me tell you, if you're a fan of those old-school space battles, this game looks like pure nostalgia. You'll be zooming through the Sol system, upgrading your spacecraft, and taking on plenty of enemies in fast-paced dogfights. The voice cast here as well is insane, featuring talent from Neon Genesis Evangelion, Sailor Moon, and even Overwatch. There's also a lot of story here, as it's set in a post-apocalyptic world where humanity is on its last legs. You're fighting against an AI system that's taken control of the Solar Defense Force, so there really is some high-stakes drama. Honestly, this game looks like it has so much style, and Rogue Flight looks like it's going to deliver some serious thrills. Next up is a game that actually quite interests me, and it's SlavicPunk Oldtimer, which is officially hitting the Xbox consoles on the 6th of November. This one's a slick isometric cyberpunk shooter, and if you're into that sort of gritty neon-soaked future with a bit of Eastern European flair, you're definitely going to check this one out. You play as Janus, a private investigator with a troubled past who's caught up in a conspiracy involving stolen data and corrupt corporations. What really sets this game apart though is the mix of fast-paced combat and immersive storytelling. You'll be able to customize your own weapons in some pretty cool ways, and the game actually shows you some in-game hacking, puzzle solving, and so much more to keep things fresh. Plus, it's also got this sort of dark, biting sense of humor that makes it stand out from other cyberpunk games. It's already been a hit on PC since its release, and I'm really excited to see how it plays on console when it drops this November. For all of the horror fans out there, Decadent is going to be one to watch. This is a Lovecraftian horror-inspired first-person shooter where you play as John Lorne, a World War I soldier turned occultist. The game takes you on a terrifying journey through the Arctic where you're plagued by supernatural threats, and also your own sanity is at stake. What's really interesting here is that John has been affected by a parasitic entity from one of his own experiments, giving him some pretty cool supernatural abilities, but at the cost of his mental stability. So you're constantly walking this sort of fine line between power and madness. Alongside that, the atmosphere is stupidly dark and oppressive, and I just love how it mixes that psychological horror element with some intense combat. We have no fixed release date on this one yet, but there are rumors pointing to a 2025 launch. If you're into more deep story-driven horror games, Decadent is going to push all the right buttons. Alright, let's lighten things up a bit now with Chicken Police Into the Hive. If you love noir-style detective story games, but you want something totally different, then this game is an absolute must. It's a mix of hard-boiled crime thriller and, well, chickens. Seriously, it's set in an animal world of Clawville, and you play as a grizzled chicken detective unraveling a dark conspiracy. The writing in these games is so clever, the art style is beautiful and slick, and it's got this cool feature where you can switch between classic black and white film noir visuals and vibrant Technicolor. The first game was absolutely great, and the second one is just quirky, it's weird, and it's launching on the 7th of November. If you enjoy games with a unique art style and some really off-the-beat humor, then this one's definitely one you need to check out. Now, let's talk about Man Mission Impawsible, based on the popular graphic novel by Dave Pilkey, and this is a 2D side-scrolling action game packed with some family-friendly fun. You will get to play as Dogman and his pals as they take on villains across 50 levels of action and puzzles. It's actually super accessible for young players, but still fun for us older fans of the series. It's got that same goofy humor that fans of the comics will really love, with a lot of light-hearted fun. Man Mission Impossible actually launches on the Xbox consoles on the 6th of December, so it's perfect for some holiday fun, especially with your younger family members. Now, get ready to dig deep, quite literally. Tinkertown is finally launching on Xbox consoles on the 17th of October, and this one's perfect if you love crafting, exploring, and a bit of treasure hunting. You'll be armed with your trusty shovel, pickaxe, or sword to excavate resources, fight off some glorious monsters, and uncover some hidden treasures. It's a procedurally generated world, so no two adventures you take on this game will ever be the same. Of course, you can build your own kingdom, complete with some small towns, adventurer huts, and even some parks. Plus, there are also tons of different biomes to explore, like icy tundras, forests, and deserts. You can play this either solo or with your friends, and Tinkertown really offers that laid-back yet adventurous vibe whilst making it easy to sink hours into. I'll definitely be jumping in to create my own kingdom on the 17th of October, so you have to let me know if you'll be joining me. Before we dive into the remaining games, I have an incredible announcement for you, especially for October. I have partnered with Xbox, and we are providing a 5% discount over on my website for all on Xbox games, pre-orders, gift cards, and Game Pass subscriptions. You can get money off some upcoming games like Dragon Age The Veilguard and the recently released Space Marine 2. You can also be saving money on your Game Pass subscription to save you that little bit of extra pennies every single month. Use code XboxNation at checkout, and it really does help support the channel by giving me a small kickback. With that out the way, thank you for the support, and let's dive back into the remaining announcements. Next, we have Blood of Mehran, an epic action-packed hack-and-slash adventure steeped in ancient Middle Eastern mythology. It is coming this October, and you play as Mehran, a once peaceful warrior thrust into a dangerous journey of vengeance after a ruthless king destroys everything that he holds dear. Set against the sprawling deserts and mystical cities of the Arabian world, this game is all about that intense combat and some incredibly rich storytelling. You'll face both human enemies and supernatural creatures straight out of some myths as you navigate this dark fantasy world. The game looks to have that sort of blend of fast skill-based combat with a deep emotional narrative that keeps you hooked until the final battle. If you're a fan of stories sort of rooted in that epic folklore with a touch of dark fantasy, then this Blood of Mehran game is definitely going to scratch that itch. Now, for something a bit more eerie and thought-provoking, especially in time for Halloween, we have While We Wait Here. Launching on the 23rd of October, this one promises a unique blend of horror and kitchen management. You'll be serving what could be your customers' last meals, whilst trying to navigate some tense conversations and make choices that affect the story's outcome. The atmosphere in this game looks incredibly heavy with some suspense. You will play as Cliff or Nora, a couple trying to keep their diner going in a desolate highway setting. But here, there's a mysterious global disaster looming. What's going on outside might be just as terrifying as what's happening inside the diner. It's a game that actually focuses on narrative choices, offering multiple different endings based on the decisions you make. If you love games with that mix of deep emotional storytelling, but with that sense of dread and horror, then this game should be on your radar. I can't wait for the 23rd of October, and it's great to see the idea of Xbox team supporting this new adventure. Moving on to something a bit more fast-paced, we've got Windblown, and this is from the creators of the excellent Dead Cells. This roguelike will now be hitting early access on Xbox consoles on the 24th of October, and it's already generating a ton of buzz online. You will play as a leaper in a world filled with floating islands that are under threat from the mysterious Vortex and its minions. The combat here is exactly like Dead Cells, so it's quick, responsive, and just absolutely addictive. What really sets this game apart though is its gorgeous isometric view and intense customization options. You'll have access to different abilities, weapons, and even some powers as you battle your way through this ever-changing landscape. You can play this either solo or in co-op mode with up to 3 other friends, and if you're the one of the first to download, you'll even get an exclusive skin. With a blend of challenging combat and a unique world to explore, Windblown is going to be a must-play for roguelike fans. Definitely keep your eye out for this one on the 24th of October. Now, I've actually got some huge news for the horror fans out there. Alien Isolation 2 has officially been announced. 10 years after the original game, we are finally getting a fantastic sequel to the incredible first entry. The team at Creative Assembly dropped this bombshell on the game's 10th anniversary, and although it's still in very early development, we cannot help but get excited. There's no release date for this one yet, but given the timeline, we're probably looking at a next-gen title. The original Alien Isolation was a masterclass in tension and survival horror, so I have no doubt the sequel is going to bring some even more heart-pounding moments. They've heard the fans loud and clear, and this time we're ready for some more terror in space. We will keep you posted as more details come in, but for now, just know Alien Isolation 2 is definitely happening. For all the Battle Royale fans out there, Off the Grid Pioneers is now available for Xbox Insiders. Developed with a vision by Neil Blomkamp, yep, the guy behind District 9, this game is going to redefine the genre. It's set on Teardrop Island, and you're thrust into a dystopian tropical landscape where corporate warfare and survival of the fittest collide. It's not your standard PvP battle royale either. The game actually mixes PvE elements and a deep narrative campaign. You'll have access to unique weapons, locations, and even new limbs as you prepare for the ultimate fight of survival. If you're an Xbox insider and you're not yet bored of the battle royale genre like I am, then you can jump right in right now, so definitely claim your spot on Teardrop Island. Now, in case you missed the news last week, there are a couple of games coming onto Game Pass at this coming week, so they're worth definitely checking out. If you're looking for something a little lighter, Mad Street is crashing onto Xbox Game Pass and it's available right now. This party brawler is definitely worth checking out as it's ridiculous fun. Think chaotic physics, wacky environments, and over-the-top brawling with your friends. The ragdoll mechanics here make every single fight unpredictable simple as you come to expect, and you can pick up pretty much anything around you. It's very easy to pick up and play, but there's enough depth in the controls to make things interesting. This game is also incredibly easy for you achievement hunters out there, so you can get the 1000 gamer score within an hour or two. You can check out my review of Bad Streets when I first created this channel, and I'll link the card on screen for you now. And the second game that's also launching onto Xbox Game Pass on the 10th of October is one of the most unique indie games of the last few years, and that is Inscryption. This is more than just a deck-building roguelike. It starts off with you trapped in a creepy cabin, forced to play a mysterious card game. But as you expect, as you progress, the game starts bending its own rules and pulling you deeper into its unsettling world. The atmosphere here is just incredibly chilling, and the game's narrative twists will really keep you on the edge of your seat. If you enjoy games that mess with your expectations and blur the lines between genres, Inscryption is a must-play. Unfortunately, a little bit of negative news in today's episode is that the Alters was supposed to launch for the Xbox Series consoles and Game Pass in Q4 2024. Unfortunately, 11-Bit Studios has said it needs more time to improve the quality of the game, so it's now been delayed into early 2025. This is a game that's actually inspired by the excellent survival management game This War of Mine, and it lets you play as a simple worker named Jan Dolsky. You will crash land on a desolate planet, stranded and alone, and to survive, he must create alternative versions of himself who possess the skills to help run his base. It looks incredibly interesting, and I was really looking forward to getting my hands on this game, but we will have to wait until early 2025. I'm all for developers taking more time with their projects, and hopefully we'll see this one come out very soon. The big news of the week though was ahead of the final match at yesterday's 2024 Halo World Championship. We saw an unexpected video. It depicts landscapes you might expect from the Halo series, Forerunner architecture jutting from dramatic landscapes inspired by the Pacific Northwest, gorgeous fields of ice, and even a vista blighted and consumed by the flood. We of course saw glimpses of the Master Chief and his iconic enemies, even a Banshee arcing past the camera. But what we saw wasn't a look back, this is something entirely new. We're now entering a new dawn for Halo, and they finally announced that they're taking Halo to Unreal Engine 5. This means multiple new games are using it in development currently, and we cannot wait to see what projects are coming soon. Alongside the engine change, the studio is also seeing changes in their culture, workflow, and how the teams are organized. To match this new approach, 343 have now rebranded and changed their name to Halo Studios. You will have to let me know your thoughts of this change down below, and if you're excited for this new Halo direction coming to us very soon. As a final point today, and still on the topic of Halo, it's getting a third-person mode this November. The news was announced during the 2024 Halo World Championship, where the senior community manager for Halo Infinite has stated that they're adding a new third-person firefight mode in an update next month, and that perspective will also be supported at a mode level. This means players will not be able to manually switch between first-person and third-person views on the fly in a match. It's very cool to see this coming to Halo, and it's also coming to Forge, where Forge creators will be able to switch players between different perspectives when needed. It's still great to see so many updates coming to Halo Infinite, and you'll have to let me know down in the comments below if you'll be jumping into this update. There are certainly some incredible games coming to Xbox and Game Pass very soon. What are you excited for, and how are you feeling about the new direction for Halo? Let me know down below. Remember to like the video whilst down there if you enjoyed it, and subscribe for more Xbox content every single day. As a reminder, again, we are running a sale this October on my website in partnership with Xbox, and you can get 5% off any Xbox game purchase, pre-order, Game Pass subscription, and Xbox gift card. Just use the code XboxNation, and it really does help out the channel. Whilst here, why don't you check out our most recent video of the 15 terrifying horror games on Xbox Game Pass you need to play in 2024.